Villa versus Casares. Step forward, please.
Beauty salon owner Jill Villa claims her manicurist Erica Casares quit before her one-year lease was up. Erica says Jill turned the salon into a shopfront church for gangsters.
Order, all rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Your Honor, this is number 103 on the calendar in the matter of Villa versus Casares. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Miss Villa, you have a beauty salon, and according to your complaint, you rent space in that beauty salon to independent contractors.
Right.
Such as the defendant, who is a nail specialist.
Look nice.
You rented her space in your salon at the rate of $200 a month. Is that right?
Right.
You say that and it was a 3-year lease.
It was a 1-year lease.
It was a 1-year lease.
Mm-hmm.
1-year lease. You say that she left after a relatively short period of time. She owes you somewhere over $2,000 for rent.
Right.
You say she left. She says that she was asked to leave. So tell me first about this establishment and how it works.
Okay. I have a salon. I do hair. I have 4 stations. I have pictures of those. And I have 1 space for nails.
And what's the financial arrangement that you have?
Basically, they just rent that space from me, and they take care of their insurance, their taxes, everything to run a business.
Okay, how did you find each other?
I went into a beauty supply store. I saw her nails. She does great nails. And I was looking for a nail technician at the time, and I asked her if she would be interested in booth renting a space for me. And she came in and signed a lease and rented for 1 year. And then in December before her year lease was up, in December of '96, I asked her if she would want to sign another lease.
For another year?
Right.
Oh, I see. Okay, when did she leave?
She left in May 14th. So she stayed her whole year. Now her new lease would have started May through May of '98, and that's the signed one that she has.
Well, tell me your version of what the events were surrounding her leaving and breaking the second
Actually, Your Honor,
year's
they
lease.
were very confusing. I had a staff meeting where I had 2 hair stations available, and I hired 2 hairdressers. So I had a staff meeting with 1 hairstylist and Erica, letting them know that there would be 2 hairstylists starting at Making Waves.
Making Waves is the name of your shop.
Right. Her reaction was very rude. She was obnoxious.
Well, see, that's your interpretation of her actions. What did she say? What did she do?
She said, I will not work with white women. I'm prejudiced, and I do not like change. And I have a witness to that who heard that. I have 2.
And so what did you say to her?
I said, you haven't even worked with them 1 day. How can you say you're prejudiced against these girls? I just don't like them.
Okay, first of all, when I signed a contract going into a salon, not a church. And that's exactly what the salon turned into.
Explain that to me.
Well, she got religious, which is fine, that's her business. And she had the pastor there all the time.
Who's the pastor?
Right over there. And
what were they doing?
running their church out of the salon.
What does that
That's
mean,
not
running their
true.
church out?
That's not
What
true.
does that mean, running their church out of the salon?
They had their own phone line in there. The pastor was always there. The men's home, which is these men that they're trying to, from prison, that they're trying to turn over, I don't know, to make them better men, I guess. We're always there. Okay, these are men that have been in prison for really bad
So they were
crimes.
coming into the salon.
Right. So when I have a client sitting there, they're seeing this man there with all these tattoos on his neck, all these men. They don't want to be there. They're uncomfortable. My clients come in to get their nails done, not to be preached to. And what they do is preach God to my clients. My clients did not want to hear
While
about God.
they were having the nails done?
Yes, they have.
Step up here, sir.
And Jennifer's witness to that.
Get to you in a minute. Tell me your name.
Robert Dominguez.
Mr. Dominguez, When did you become involved with this salon?
When Jill and her husband first started coming to our church, and
When was that?
that was in '96. Jill had offered me a corner there to have a phone there so that I can do business and make contact with people for the crusade that we were organizing.
Tell
for
me
that
about
city.
the crusade.
What a crusade is there is we reach out to the gang members, the drug addicts, those that are considered outcasts of society. And during that time, since we were just beginning there in that city, and finances at the time were very, very short, so Jill had offered me a corner, and she offered me to that I could put a phone there. And from that point on, one thing I need to make clear is I don't force the gospel on anybody. People ask me, and I in turn respond.
Sir, I am correct, therefore, that when you say you reach out to gang members, you reach out to drug addicts, and you reach out to former prison inmates, you reach out to them and ask them to come in so that you can counsel them. Is that correct?
Witness to them.
Witness to them, counsel them, whatever. And you were doing this witnessing or counseling in this salon.
No, it wasn't. No, not in the salon.
Are you telling me, sir, that you never had any of these people who you were trying to reach come into the salon?
No.
They never did?
No. The men's home were there during the crusade. I wasn't counseling them. I wasn't witnessing to them. They were part of the workforce of helping me organize this crusade.
Mr. Dominguez, maybe we're not understanding each other, sir. Did the people that you were involved with, either people who were reformed and then reaching out, or the people that you were reaching out to, ever come into the salon?
Yes, they did.
That's right. And they came in, you spoke to them, they spoke to each other,
We had conversation.
Did you ever speak to any of the defendant's clients while they were having their nails done or while they were waiting to have their nails done?
When I was asked. When
What
I
do
was
you mean?
asked, when I was asked either by Erica, or I was either introduced to them, or they would ask me questions once they
That's a
found-
lot of oars. Step up. Who are you?
Jennifer Lopez.
Jennifer, how were you involved in this operation?
I also worked at the salon and was asked to leave
Why?
because I was an evil spirit.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You changed the establishment from a beauty salon, hair and nails, to a beauty salon, hair, nails, and redemption.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Manicurist Erica Casares says she quit her lease at Jill Villa's beauty salon because Jill turned the place into a church for outcasts.
You were an evil spirit? Who told you that?
Erica.
That's what they stated.
That's not true, Your
Jill
Honor.
stated that to me.
That is not true,
Yes, it
Your
is
Honor.
true.
Just a second.
Can I say why she was dismissed?
Were you a hairstylist?
She
Well-
was dismissed because she came into my shop intoxicated with
No.
a male gentleman with her. She was stealing from Erica because Erica kept saying how she's stealing all my nails.
No.
She's stealing all my nails. She was stealing
My
my
stuff is
nail
locked up.
accessories.
Just a second. I really want to find out. Now I know you were a hairstylist. You were either
spirit. Give me a
dismissed or you
break.
left, whatever it is. I want you to tell me about
That's a good
this
one, Erica.
group that was running inside the salon in addition to hair and nails.
Okay, she moved the pastor in a desk, so we all had to move stations because there wasn't enough room. It's a very small salon. And then we would talk about God. They play Christian tapes all day, and I think it's great, but you know it shouldn't have been mixed in with our business.
When you say playing Christian tapes all day, you mean over the whatever PA system you had?
Right.
Instead
That's
of
not true. I had a little radio by my station. Your Honor, both these ladies on their own came to our church. They were part of our church.
That's good.
Yeah,
No,
that's
that's
great.
good. That's fine because that's where the church
I never
belong.
heard that there was a
Right.
problem. I never heard that there was a problem in the salon. Never.
Ms. Casares, I've heard from Ms. Villa about what she recalls of the time that you told her that you were leaving. I'd like you to tell me about
She
the day.
asked me to leave.
Well, tell me about it.
I just told her I was no longer happy there. You can't tell Jill nothing about the church.
So you told her you were not happy.
Right.
And what, and?
To go back, before I signed the contract, she stated in front of me, Jennifer, and Mary Alice, anytime we were not happy, we were allowed to leave. She was holding nobody to their contract. She had done that before, and she didn't want nobody else to be there that were not happy.
Okay.
So we had a verbal agreement that when we were not happy, we can let her know and we can leave.
Well, let me tell you what the law is. The law is when you sign a contract, and it's a contract for property, you can't go outside that contract for an interpretation. So whatever you sign is what you're bound to. Do you understand?
Yeah,
That's why we have contracts, and that's why we have laws surrounding contracts. You call what you're suggesting, we call parole evidence, which means evidence that goes outside the four corners of that document. And you can't do that. So I want you to be smart the next time. You don't sign an agreement with the understanding, well, we have a side agreement, which is if you're not happy, you can break this contract. Because that doesn't make sense. If that's your agreement, then what do you need a contract for? Right? If your agreement is, if you're not happy, you can leave, then why would she ask you to sign a contract? You understand?
She needed it for books or something.
Baloney. Come on. Ms. Casares. But I'd like you to tell me about this phone conversation that you had. You told her you were leaving because you weren't happy.
Right.
And then she called you on the phone and said, tell me why you're not happy.
I just told her. I said, it's because of the church thing. I can't handle it being in there. I was losing clients. Without clients, I make no money. With no money, I cannot pay rent. That's just, and you can ask her. Last month, I was so slow there. And it's because I was losing clients. I have statements here.
I can't read statements.
And then,
statements are not admissible.
well, after that, she just asked me, when I told her about the church thing, she goes, when can you be out of here? So to me, that was throwing me out by asking me when I could be out of there. So I told her. I turned around, I looked at my husband, I go, when can we go get my stuff? He said, right now. I went and picked up my stuff. I was out of there. That's all the phone conversation was.
When you signed your contract in December, your renewal
I signed my
contract.
contract in February because my contract was up in February.
Okay, so you signed it in February. By the way, can I see it, please? Ms. Casares, listen to me very carefully. You signed this contract December 20th, 1996 is the date you signed it, not February.
Okay, February was my contract was up, my first one. Then never.
She said it was up in May.
No,
and
my
she
first
did.
one was up in February.
Just a
Mine
second.
was
No,
up-
no,
mine
no,
was
no.
up in May.
No.
Yours is
Ms.
up in
Casares,
April.
you got to get it straight. You signed this in December. Your first lease was not up until May. This is for a year after that. Now, what I want to know from you is, when for the first time did Mr. Dominguez come into the shop?
Maybe in February or March. February, I don't know. I don't know when he came in.
Did he come in before or after you signed this new lease?
After.
Is that correct, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
You came in after she signed this lease.
In March of '97.
Okay. Ms. Villa, let me tell you what your problem is, madam.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She ran into my shop and said, guess what? Brian down the street wants me, and he wants me bad.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
I'm not sure, nor will I ever be certain, of the reason that Ms. Casares left, whether you asked her to leave or whether she said, I'm leaving. She contracted for space in a beauty salon, not a beauty salon / mission. After she signed her lease, you changed the establishment from a beauty salon, hair and nails, to a beauty salon, hair, nails, and redemption. You can't do that.
Your Honor.
Listen to me. You changed the rules.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Can I state something, please? When I asked Robert to take some space for the Stop the Violence campaign, which was only going to last a period of 2 months, I sat down with each one of my stylists and we had a staff meeting, and I told them that he would be joining us, and if there was any problem to please let me know now. I didn't see any problem. If I would have seen a problem and heard that they had a problem with it, Your Honor, I would have stopped it immediately.
Let me ask you this question, Ms. Villa. Did her business drop off?
Her business was skyrocketing.
No.
All the women in my church came to her to get their nails done.
They didn't pay me.
Yes, they did. I took it off your rent.
Ms. Villa, why do you think she would leave a business where she was making money? I mean, maybe I'm missing something.
Because she got a better
if her
deal down
business
the street.
was skyrocketing, why would she leave your business?
Because she got a better deal down the street.
What kind of better deal?
The guy, she had come into my shop, okay? She ran into my shop and said, guess what? Brian down the street wants me, and he wants me bad. He said that he will drop my rent, there won't be any contract, and I can go and work for him. Before she left, she was giving out her calling cards with his name on it.
Hold
and
it.
number.
Hold it. Did you go to work down the street?
Yeah, it's about a mile away.
Here's his ad.
I needed a place to take my clients to.
And when you went to work down the street, you went to work under the same conditions that you paid for space?
Yes, and it's a salon.
And how much rent did you pay in the space?
The new space? He's charging me $150 now, but it goes up in 6 months to $170. After 6 months, it goes up some more.
So you save yourself at least $50 a month going to him.
Yeah, which I have no problem with finish out my contract with Jill. But once you cannot tell Jill about a church and then her be the same with you. It doesn't work that way.
Well, that's conjecture. You see, now you're coming to conjecture. I was missing something, you see, because you say you had no business. She said you had a lot of business.
No.
Well, Miss Casares, let me suggest this to you, madam. Common sense always plays a very important part in judging. A competitor down the road would not offer you a better deal than you were getting in her place unless you were prepared to bring into that establishment a substantial clientele.
Well, Your Honor.
So you bettered your situation by leaving her. You bettered your situation by leaving her by going to a place where you could have your clients and pay less rent.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
This is a difficult case, and I'm going to tell you why. It's difficult as far as the decision that I make, because, Ms. Villa, you changed the workspace that Ms. Casares contracted for by bringing in this gentleman who ran a different kind of a business within your salon operation. And I believe that that's unfair to do to somebody. And I, quite frankly, can understand why some people who are coming in to have their nails done in what they assume is going to be a predominantly female operation, you know, ladies sitting around having their nails done, etc., having this gentleman there, and a variety of other people who are either in the saving business or trying to be saved. That's disconcerting. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it's not what she bargained for. On the other hand, I'm not really quite satisfied that his presence there was the only reason that you left. I would suggest that one of the reasons that you left was because you got a better deal down the road. Now, it may have been that you were unhappy with this situation there and you felt as if you would be more comfortable elsewhere. I think that you are responsible for part of the rental on that property. I think that if this gentleman being there is not a drawback, you should be able to rent that space in a relatively short period of time. I'm going to give you 5 months' worth of rent. Do you understand?
Yes.
You see to it that you re-rent the space. And if you can't re-rent the space, you better rethink your position about mixing your business with the church. You may want to keep them separately. You know,
They're no longer there.
they're no longer there. Well,
It
that's
was only
good.
for 2 months, which
That's good.
they knew.
All right, the judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
On the next, 27-year-old makeup artist Bonnie Flowers says her ex-boyfriend Gene Spector became so threatening after she dumped him that she had to move out and he should pay her costs.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Your Honor, this is number 145 on the calendar in the matter of Flowers versus Spector. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Flowers, you and the defendant, according to your complaint, were romantically involved for a relatively short period of time. How long?
About 4 months.
And you say that when the relationship ended, he began stalking you?
He stayed outside of my apartment for 5 hours, and I called the cops at 4.5 hours.
Your Honor, it's absolutely not true.
Just a second. As
I
a
said
result
that
of that, you say you have to move, you want him to pay all your moving expenses, your first and last month's rent, and the cost of changing your locks, all totaling, $3,100. That includes the week that you have to take off from work to go look for an apartment. That's what you want, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You, on the other hand, sir, are countersuing for all the money that you say that you
That I've loaned her.
loaned to her
Yes, Your Honor.
during the course of this brief 4-month relationship. You're going to tell me about what loans these were, and you seem to acknowledge on the countersuit that you owe him some money. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes, it is.
You're going to tell me about that. So first, let's get to your claim.
Okay.
You met, you began to date, you dated for 4 months, something happened. Tell me what happened, and then what happened as a result of the breakup.
Okay. During the relationship, he was very jealous and calculating at times. He would constantly
Your
pick
Honor,
business
that's not
cards.
true. I want to
Mr.
clarify.
Spector, I'm going to get to you.
Thank you.
He would pick business cards up off my table and make sure, read them and ask where I was at all times and who I was seeing and what I was doing and that sort of thing. And then at about the 3-month point, he read through my journal and told me that if I intended to destroy him, he would destroy me. And on June 15th, he made the threat that the two of us can no longer live at the same time, therefore one of us has to die.
Your
I
Honor,
do not
that
feel...
is not true.
Mr.
That is
Spector,
absurd.
Mr. Spector.
I do not feel safe living at the same residence that he has visited me several times
Well,
at.
was it in June that you decided to break off this relationship?
Yes.
Anything particular happen at that time?
He took me to Napa Valley for my birthday on June 14th. We fought the whole time. He told me at lunch on June 14th that he only had 65% of me. He wanted 100%. And I knew at that point that the relationship was definitely going in a direction. I had just gotten out of a very serious relationship, a marriage. And I told him many times that I did not have it to give to him. I wanted to take things slow and that I wanted things open such that if I wanted to see somebody else, I would let him know. I would give him that courtesy. I wanted the same courtesy from him. And I didn't have 100% to commit to him at that time.
So then you had this argument and broke up.
Yes.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Mr. Spector, you keep saying that's not true, and I keep telling you that I'm going to give you an
All right.
opportunity to tell me your
Hold on.
version of the
Thank you.
events, but you keep interrupting. That's not a smart thing for you to do because it makes you sound a little bit nutty, especially since I've told you twice not to do it.
I apologize.
Good. Now, why do you think he should pay for you to move?
I need to move, and it's due to his harassment.
Tell me about his harassment.
His harassment is the 2 threats that he's made in my life.
Well, you told me about those 2 threats. The 2 of you can't live together on the same
at the
planet.
same time, therefore one of us has to die.
Okay. Well, maybe he's talking about himself.
I asked him if he intended on committing suicide. He said he didn't do suicide. He had connections and people that could take care of things.
Go ahead.
And I don't feel safe at where I'm living now.
Tell me about his harassment.
He's made 2 threats in my life and says that somebody else can take care of me.
Okay. Now, what's the $600 that you say that you owe him?
During the relationship, he paid for things like when we went out to eat and shopping and such like that. He, at one time, he helped me pay for a down payment on insurance, and he also gave me $250 for my deposit for rent. So that's $350 and $250, so $600.
Just a minute. Ms. Flowers, didn't you realize that once you took money from him, you were encouraging him?
No.
You didn't realize that?
No.
Well, you should have.
A gift.
Well, you should have. Once you accept gifts and things from someone, and in this case, not only gifts and things, because you said he bought you things, but cash, you are solidifying a relationship. That's not smart. All right, Mr. Spector. To your version.
Your Honor, I have never realized that when I started the relationship it was going to end this way. I met Bonnie in January. I met her in a nightclub. She's a blackjack dealer.
I don't care where you met her. You met her in January.
I met her in January.
Look at me. Don't look at your paper.
We
right
enjoyed
here.
each other's company tremendously.
You dated?
We dated. I have, we've been always in consent with each other. About 3 weeks into the relationship, I asked her to take a trip to Vegas with me. During that time, we enjoyed each other's company. She asked me to take her to one of the stores in Caesar's Palace where she wanted to pick out some clothes for herself. We have done that, and at that time she said that she liked the clothes, but she didn't have money to pay for the clothes. So I said I can put it on my card, and if she likes it, she can pay me back later when she has the chance. She said, that's fine. I have the bills right here.
Mr. Spector, are you telling me that you took her shopping and you told her at this time we were sharing a room together at Caesar's Palace?
Yes, we were.
Are you trying to tell me that when you took her shopping, you said, are you going to pay me back?
I did not take her shopping, Your Honor. She said she liked something in the store that she stopped by previously. She asked me to accompany her to the store.
So you went with her
So I accompanied her to the store. Yes, Your Honor.
So you're telling me that you told her that this was just a loan of the money?
I offered her to pay for the clothes because she seemed that she really liked the clothes, but she was upset that she couldn't get them. I said, if you like, I could pay for the clothes.
That I believe. Mr. Spector, do you understand, sir? That I believe.
Okay, Your Honor.
I don't believe the last part of it, which was, and you'll pay me back.
Well, Your Honor, let's put it this way, I'm a reasonable guy. We were about 3 weeks into the relationship. I'm not just going to take some girl, take her out shopping for a couple $1,000s and say, yeah. I mean, I don't do it on every day-to-day life. Yes, I did enjoy her company, but I would not just take her shopping. I'm not a millionaire.
This is a good lesson for everybody. Let me understand this, Mr. Spector.
I am a generous person, yes.
You took her to Las Vegas.
Yes.
You shared a room together.
Yes, we did.
Look at my eyes, sir. You felt close enough to her to share a bed together.
Yes.
But you weren't going to buy her a dress, because that, you wouldn't just buy any casual acquaintance a dress. Is that what you're telling me?
That is not true, Your Honor.
Is that what you're telling me?
No, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
How unchivalrous
I have
of him.
bought her things on many, many
I'm
occasions.
not talking. I'm talking about this.
That particular occasion was alone. I bought her things before and after that
Mr.
as well.
Spector, you're not following what I'm saying to you,
I'm
sir.
trying,
Maybe
Your
it's a
Honor.
male thing.
I
Do you
don't think so,
understand,
Your
sir?
Honor.
What you're saying to me is you felt close enough to be intimate with Miss Flowers on your trip to Las Vegas.
That's right.
But certainly, according to you, you wouldn't buy a dress for just a casual person.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That's your corporate card?
Yes.
You paid for her underwear on your corporate card?
People, Judge Judy. Bonnie Flowers says her former boyfriend, Gene Spector, should pay her moving costs because she was driven out of her home by his threats.
What monies do you say she owes you, sir?
I'm saying she owes me about 20...
For what?
Okay, I have canceled checks here for the insurance.
All right, she
for-
says she owes you for the insurance.
That's right.
$350. And can I see the date? Can I see those checks, please?
Absolutely, Your Honor. By the way, the rent check is dated June 1st. That's after she's saying I told her I'm going to kill her or whatever.
No, destroy.
No, it's not. By the way, what kind of work do you do?
I do a lot of different things. I'm a makeup artist, blackjack dealer, that kind of thing.
Because the reason I'm asking is
We're
part of the
forgetting to mention she's
expenses.
an exotic dancer as
Just a
well.
second. Is my mouth moving, Mr. Spector?
I apologize, Your Honor.
Apologizing. There's an interesting line somebody once told me. I think it goes something like, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Did you ever hear that line? Sure. Right. The reason I'm asking that question is because you say that you want $1,000 also from him to look for a new apartment because that's how much time it would take away from your work.
About a week and a half to move and to look for an apartment.
Okay. All right, sir. I'm back to you. We're back to you with regard to the money she owes you.
I've not claiming numerous expenses that I incurred during the relationship with her because it was out of my goodwill and I really loved the girl. I thought everything was going great between us. We're not talking about the rental expenses, how much time I wasted looking for an apartment, renting a truck, driving a truck.
Good. What are we? Don't tell me what we're not looking for. What are we looking for?
What we are looking for, I would really like to get an explanation what is inside her head. I would really love to know. I still care for the girl. I have never made no attempts or threats towards her life. I would never harm her in any way, shape, or form. I have not contacted her for about a month. I was trying to forget about the whole thing when I was served with a restraining order. That is really confusing to me. What is she trying to do? I've not made any attempts to call her. I was out for about a week. I was on vacation. She's an exotic dancer. She gives her phone number to so many people. Her phone rings day and night. I have never controlled her in any way, shape, or form. We had an agreement. She wants to see somebody. That is up to her.
Have you ever been arrested, Mr. Spector?
No, I have not.
Ever?
For traffic violations? For traffic violations, yes.
What kind of traffic violation?
Speeding.
Arrested?
Well,
for speeding?
Not arrested.
But stop. No, I'm talking about being arrested.
Well, I had a warrant for a speeding ticket that I forgot to pay, and yes, I have been
Arrested
in jail.
for that?
I have been arrested for that, yes, Your Honor.
What kind of work do you do, sir?
I'm a financial consultant, and I have an indoor air quality company, as well as appliance company.
Have you ever been married?
No.
You're not going to bother her, are you?
I wasn't for 2 months now.
That is so inaccurate.
Her restraining order is a...
Just a second. He says he hasn't bothered you in 2 months.
Her restraining
You have
order is a way to prevent me from getting my money.
When did you get a restraining order?
June 23rd.
Since your restraining order, after he was served with your restraining order,
After he was served with the restraining order,
have you had any contact with him at all?
yes.
Tell me about it.
The person that served him the papers went to his workplace, served him the papers, and got back in the car with me. We drove down the street, turned around, came back up. The
Why?
defendant, I went down the wrong street. Turned around, came back up the street. The defendant came head on toward my car, blocked me in the road, got out of the car, and came right beside my window.
And said what?
I did not roll down the window. I barely got by his car and the other car beside me, and I swerved around and then I left.
That was the day he was served with the paper.
Yes, sir.
Have you had any contact with him since?
No.
Okay. Mr. Spector.
Am I allowed to say something? Yes.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Thank you. What you described partially is true. Her friend have come to my office and served me with some papers. I took a look at them when I saw it was a court date. They are actually on a date when I was supposed to go on vacation, so I had to reschedule all the plans. I got pretty upset because she knew exactly when I was going on vacation. No. I didn't know what it was. Since I have not talked to her, since she called the police, I don't know for what reason, I still have no explanation. In my mind, I would like to believe that what she was doing was not gold digging from me. I really believe that she had some feelings for me. I would really wanted to know what feelings. And up to this date, I have no explanation. That was the only reason I went out of my office when I saw she was outside.
Listen to me.
Yes.
She don't like you anymore.
That's fine. I would like
Just
to
a
hear
second.
that.
Do you like
I
him
would
anymore?
like to hear that.
You want to hear it?
Yes,
Tell
please.
him.
He threatened my life. I don't want anything to do with
That
him.
had never happened. That's a lie, Your Honor.
Mr. Spector,
Yes.
if that's a lie, trust me, sir, this is the truth. She don't like you anymore.
Great.
Understand?
That's fine.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He said that one of us has to die, and he will either do it himself or have somebody else do it.
Why aren't you dead yet?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gene Spector, a financial consultant, says his ex-girlfriend, Bonnie Flowers, owes him for money he loaned her when they were together. Bonnie says she left to escape his threats.
She owes you $600 that she acknowledges. What other money do you say she owes you, sir?
Here's all the receipts, Your Honor. This is a receipt for the shopping that she said she will pay me back.
No.
And this is a receipt for...
Don't say anything till I ask you.
This is a receipt for... She asked me to accompany her to Victoria's Secret because she had a gift certificate from her mother that she wanted to redeem there. When we got there, she picked out a lot of lingerie. When we got to the counter, the gift certificate wasn't enough. She didn't have any money with her. I said, what do you want to do? She said, can you pay for it? I'll pay you later. I said, fine. That's my corporate card.
No.
I didn't even pay for it myself.
That's your corporate card?
Yes, Your Honor.
You paid for her underwear on your corporate card? You expect the
I
government?
wanted to get a record.
What?
Okay, I am very good with records. I didn't want to pay cash. I wanted to get a record because I felt something was wrong already at that time. I didn't know what. I couldn't put my finger on it.
Did he buy some things for you at Victoria's Secrets?
Yes, he did. He told me several times that he wanted to take me there, and I did have a gift certificate. He said that he wanted to get a bathrobe for me, and we did not find a bathrobe, so we picked out other things together.
Let me tell you, I still have a problem with you, Miss Flowers, and let me tell you what the problem is,
Okay.
madam. When we started this case, you told me that you had some problems with him. You had problems with him practically from the beginning, but certainly by May, June, at the end, he had become controlling. He had gone through your purse. He had gone through your cards. He had read your journal and all those other things. And on June 1st, you let him go buy underwear for you in Victoria's Secrets.
I liked him a great deal.
Well,
A
if
great
you
deal.
liked him, then if you want to move, you do it on your dime. Do you understand?
I understand.
Because I'm not giving you any money to move. You're not supposed to encourage somebody and let them spend a lot of money on gifts, presents, whatever else it is, while all the time in the back of your mind you're saying, this relationship is going nowhere because he's too controlling. This relationship is going nowhere because he's too suspicious. This relationship is going nowhere because he's too jealous. If that's the case, you're supposed to do a decent thing and not let him spend any money on you, which suggests to him that your relationship is going somewhere. There's just something that comes under the category of not nice about that. So you feel as if you want to move? Move. Yourself. You owe him $600.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Now, sir, you listen to me. I don't believe for 1 minute that you took this lady to Caesar's Palace and she ran up a $2,000 bill and you expected her to pay you back. I find...
Your Honor,
Listen,
you were incorrect.
listen.
It was $1,300 for the clothes.
$1,300
We're
for
not
the...
talking about the bill for the room and everything else. That amount that I don't want to say what. That was never asked of her. That was me.
Mr. Spector,
Yes, Your Honor.
write it off to a good lesson, sir.
Oh, I am. I've done it.
Perfect. She owes you the $600. She says it was $600. It really comes out to $551, doesn't it? Let me make sure.
No, actually,
No,
it's
it comes out to $601.
601.
601. In any event, the judgment in this case is for the defendant in the amount of $601,
Thank you, Your Honor.
and the plaintiff's case is Dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out. There you go, ma'am. I'll back foot to your right. Oh, I'll walk you out.
You can walk me out.
Forward, please.
25-year-old Jennifer Trombley is suing her husband, Russell Trombley, claiming he physically abused her throughout their marriage. Mr. Trombley's countersuit alleges that his wife has a drug problem and has neglected their daughter.
Order. All rise. Judge, it's number 159 on the calendar in the matter of Trombley versus Trombley. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
You two folks are married, in the process of getting a divorce. You've been married for 2 years. You have a 2-year-old child. Mrs. Trombley, I have your complaint. You are seeking $5,000 from your husband for emotional stress.
Yes, I am.
Well, I'd like you to tell me about it. You have a countersuit. I'll hear that in a minute. Go ahead.
Well, I'm really suing because he broke into my best friend's house.
That to you,
Well, I was
this
there.
has nothing to do with your best friend's house. There's nothing in here in the complaint about
Well, he
your
broke
best
in there
friend's
and
house.
attacked me.
Well, let
That's
me hear
what
about
brought
it.
this complaint.
Let me hear about it. The attacking you is something else. Let me hear about the attacking you.
Once he entered the house,
Yeah.
he ran through the house and threw me against the wall and kicked me and then left with our daughter screaming in the living room.
What had precipitated this?
I hadn't come home the night before because
Why not?
Because I was afraid of getting hit. And when I did come home in the morning, he raised his hand to me, and if he hadn't seen my friend, he would have hit me.
That's untrue. There was no threat of violence of her coming home at any point ever. She was with her friend partying late into the night.
He says you do drugs, Mrs. Trombley, and that you depleted the bank account of your family, took checks out, forged checks, ran up bills, forced them into bankruptcy, all because you were doing drugs and staying out, and partying with your friends, etc. Any of that true?
Some of it's true.
What's true?
I do have a past history of drug abuse.
We're not talking about past. We're talking about current.
No, I don't.
What makes you think she has a drug problem?
Oh, I have all kinds of ample evidence to prove that she has a drug problem. Just as of July 18th, I got a call from Burbank Police Department who had just arrested a drug dealer, stating that he had my calling card. I have here 12 pages of the calls that this man made with my calling card. Who was given?
Who is this man?
This man's name is nicknamed Morbid.
You know that person?
Yes, I do.
Well, what does he do for a living?
He deals drugs, right, Jen? He deals drugs.
What does he do for a
He
living?
doesn't really do much for a living.
He deals drugs. And this is Jen's main drug dealer. This is a man that she went to Mexico with.
While you were married.
What? Last month.
Is that right?
Yes.
Terrific.
My wife disappeared for 3 days on the premise that she was going to look for jobs. At 2 p.m., with no hassle, no fighting, we had made love in the morning. At 2 p.m., she said, I'm on my way to go put some applications in. I did not see my wife for 3 days, at which she had taken both sets of our car keys and left me in the care of our daughter. I have a full-time job. I had to take 3 days off from work. On the third day, risking financial ruin and losing my job, I had to take my 2-year-old daughter to work with me. No calls from my wife.
Does that sound familiar to you, Miss Trombley?
Yes, that's all true. And it was all because I was afraid to come home because he was hitting me.
Afraid to come home, so she takes a vacation with a drug dealer to Tijuana, Mexico.
Mr. Trombley,
Order.
let me tell you this, sir. Let me tell you this. I read your answer to her complaint. Her complaint is nonsense. I don't know whether you hit her when you got into the house.
I'll explain to you exactly the events preceding that incident.
Your Honor, we have 2 separate police reports for domestic violence.
We have
and a
one
restraining order
police
that was
report.
put on against him.
Was there
for
ever a
my
trial
protection.
on that restraining order?
Yes, there was.
And what happened to it?
And what happened to it?
Today, that case was settled and dropped, plead out.
What do you mean, settle, drop, plead out? What does that mean?
I pleaded no contest to 1 count of battery.
Does that have to do with this incident?
It has to do with the incident where I pushed my wife away from a front door for not taking our personal life into a hallway.
Was that at her friend's house? Just
Yes.
a second.
Yes.
This is the incident at the friend's house.
Yes, let me...
Let me.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'll ask you to fill in so that there is some semblance here. According to your answer, she had gone over to her friend Lori's house, right? And this was after she had disappeared for a few days.
No, that's...
She had already disappeared. There were periods of time, according to your answer, sir, that she had left you in care to care for your daughter.
Yes.
And you were afraid that when she went to Lori's house and didn't come home right away, that she was going to do it again.
Well, let me explain a little bit earlier in the evening. It was that very morning that I was late for work. My wife came home at 6:30, where I would have had to have left at 10 of 6 to make it to work. She knows this. We've had many, many fights about it. It's when she showed up with Lori, I did go like this in anger, not to hit her, but just as a show. I'm this angry. How could you do this to me again? That very night, when I came home from work, Lori and Jen and Aubrey were there in the house. They said, we're going to take Aubrey out and get some shoes. They left. They came back at, at 7:30 p.m. while I was watching TV. My daughter comes through the front door crying, but my wife did not come through the door. I opened up the front door, and my wife is at the bottom of the stairs and says to me, I'm going to the car for a minute. 5 minutes later, she didn't come back from the car, and the car was gone. It's at that time that I assumed she probably went back over to Lori's. I drove over there with my daughter, and that's where she was.
Well,
I found that that was kind of peculiar.
You weren't screaming your head off.
I wasn't screaming at anything.
Mr. Trumley.
Yes. May I continue?
No. Because while I can smell a drug problem from at least 15 feet away, and she has a drug problem.
Yes, that's true.
Based upon my assessment of her demeanor and based upon the things that she has said to me so far, I have some trouble with your response. And let me tell you why, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm just a hard-working guy. I have no record. I've never been expelled from school. I'm nothing but a decent guy that was raised the right way.
And later today,
you came in with your girlfriend, Christina, who now lives with you.
I'm going to have him live with me?
Who is your lover? Admit it, okay?
Okay.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Russell Trombley denies his wife Jennifer's allegations of abuse and claims she's guilty of neglecting their daughter.
You have a 2-year-old daughter. You say you know your wife has a current drug problem.
Yes.
If your wife has a current drug problem, I don't care what you have to do, you make sure that your wife is never left in charge of your child. You didn't do that. What you wanted her to do was to be around to take care of your daughter. Just a second. And I don't care if you have to get a babysitter. I don't care if you have to quit your job. I don't care what you have to do. You do not leave a drug user in charge of a 2-year-old baby, and I don't care if the drug user is your wife. Number one. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
Number two. According to your answer, sir, you went over to the house, to this Lori's house, because you didn't want to be in the position again of having to look for somebody to take care of your daughter when you had to go to work the next morning and you had an early morning call. Is that right?
Yes. We've exhausted all of our daycare issues. My wife left our daycare with a $300 bill that we owed them.
Sir.
We had no one else. We have no relatives here.
So let me tell you this. There are many people, unfortunately, in your position whose mate, whether it be a husband or a wife, has a drug addiction problem. You're supposed to try to be supportive of each other if you can, but at that point, there is only one innocent. And that innocent is a child, especially a 2-year-old child that cannot protect herself. So at that point, you can't worry about her anymore. She's got a drug problem and hangs around with Mork or whatever his name is, Dork. Those are the kind of people that you hang around with if you got a drug problem.
That's all she hangs out with.
Drug dealers.
All drug dealers. That's everybody she knows.
Well, then, sir, if you allow your daughter to hang around with her and to hang around with drug dealers, then you are as guilty of neglect as she is. Do you understand me?
With
In
all-
my eyes.
With all due respect, Judge,
Yeah.
these are events that have only come to my knowledge within the last couple of months. All of these things
Sir,
have been
during
hidden
the time,
and lied
during,
about.
Sir, during that time, during that couple of month period, you still left your daughter in your wife's care.
But I was only doing that on the premise that she was over at her friend's house. I didn't know that there was drugs involved at that
Tremblay,
night.
you can't have it both ways. We understand each other. You cannot have it both ways.
There was not at any point that I felt my daughter was in danger from
Well,
my
I'm
wife.
telling you that it's not true. What I'm telling you is, if you are mated to a drug user who cavorts with other drug users and abusers and dealers, you are a neglectful parent if you leave a 2-year-old child with her.
I was doing everything I could.
All right.
ma'am.
So, let me get to your cross complaint because I'm going to take care of this nonsense right away. You say that she spent a lot of your family money?
She spent all of our money.
Good. That's what happens. It's a very good idea for you to get out of this marriage, to take charge of your daughter, and to start building a life with her, if that's what you think that you can do. Do you understand?
Yeah, that's
Well-
everything I'm seeking and aiming for. But
Very good.
These are the events that handle our lives every day, though. While I'm trying to litigate this, I am being forced to move out of California, forced to give up my dreams, forced to give up my career.
That's very sad. You made a mistake. That's what happens when people make a
I made
mistake.
a grand mistake, and my pleas,
That's what happens when you make a mistake.
I understand that.
Good.
But understand, Judge, that I have pleaded and begged my wife to get drug counseling, to stop fraternizing with these people.
This case is dismissed. The counterclaim is dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right.
I want to get as far away from this woman as I can. I believe she's nothing but pure evil and will not help herself. I don't think there's any saving her.
And now the next case.
Parties on Silvas versus Boga. Step forward.
70-year-old Frank Silvas is suing 33-year-old Christina Boger, a woman he says was his lover and bride-to-be. According to Frank, when their plans to move in together fell through, Christina kept his furniture. But Christina says she and Frank were never boyfriend and girlfriend, and the furniture was a gift.
Mr. Silvas, according to your papers, sir, you are a recent widower.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were married to your wife for 45 years?
No, 41.
41 years. Shortly after her death, you met the defendant.
Right, but 18 months after.
And she was selling some sort of electrical
Well, the
bit?
night before I met her, somebody called the house was to make an appointment to sell mattresses. And I told the gentleman, says, I'm not going to buy one. He said, well, we got a new sales person. He didn't tell me it was a male or a female, you know.
Cut to the chase.
Okay.
She came to sell you a new mattress.
Right,
And according to your complaint, sold you a lot more.
right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I slept with her about three or four different times. In fact, we went to Laughlin. First time we went to Laughlin.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 70-year-old Frank Silvas is suing 33-year-old Christina Boger because he claims she kept his furniture when their romance ended.
Over the course of several months,
Almost a year.
you gave her a lot of money.
Right.
According to your papers, gave her loans of over $30,000.
Right.
But you know that you can't get that here.
Right.
What you're suing for here is a return of your furniture.
Yes, ma'am. I mean,
So
yes,
tell
Your Honor.
me how she came to have your furniture in her possession.
Okay, when her roommate moved out, I was supposed to, move in, see? So, I says, well, we'll take my furniture up there to sell my house. Then she kept putting the dates off, when-
What dates?
that I was supposed to move in. But prior to that, Your Honor, she said she would marry me.
Did
And
you
she
ask
kept-
her to marry you?
Yes, and she kept putting that off.
Okay. So you asked her to marry you. When did you ask her to marry you?
Before the first of the year, first time.
And what did she say?
She says, I don't know you that good, let's wait a while.
So what happened? The romance is clearly over.
Well, I got evidence right here that really turned me off. She came into my house, took 2 blank checks and forged them. One for $1,000, one for $350. Then she came back into the house and grabbed those 2 checks and burned them up. That's what she told me. She burned them. But I got copies from the bank. I got the police report on each of one of them.
When do you say she did this?
I didn't find out about it till May, actually, Your Honor, when I got my bank statements.
How come he gave you this money?
Well,
I assume you're going to tell me he gave you the money.
yes, he plays a victim well. He was always there to be very helpful to me, and was there to volunteer anytime I needed something. We started up a business together. This money that he's talking about that he lent to me was based on this business we started together, and any money that he gave me was to help me get this business up and going, and he was, in return, got a percentage of this business.
Just a second. Did he get anything in return?
Yes, when he was doing his job.
Just a minute. What did he get in return?
He got a percentage of the business, which was 10%.
How much does that translate to in cash?
About $600-700 in cash.
So he invested thousands and he got $600-700.
Let me explain something though. He stopped doing the business, and ultimately the business fell. It's not even in existence now because he wouldn't give me the information so I can continue to run this business. He kept it.
He gave you a lot of money, madam. I have checks here. A lot of money.
Okay.
A lot.
Your Honor, he's 69 years old. I'm 30. This man's got 45 years on me. He decides to give me money or do what he decides to do. You think he'd have... It's all been his choice. It's all been his choice from the beginning to do these things. Frank did everything...
Did you at any time discuss with him getting married?
No, he discussed it with me.
When for the first time?
He asked me to marry him so many times I couldn't tell you. It was literally the first time 60 days after I knew him was the first time he asked me to marry him.
And what did you say to him?
I said, no, I don't know you well enough. And he's a heavy drinker and I have a baby and there's a big age difference. And I told him, I said, no, I think
a big age difference is 40 years. You know, a big age difference is 7 years, 8 years, 10 years. 40 years is a big age difference. Did you ever say to him, no, sir, you're too old and I'm not going to be involved with you romantically?
I never said he was too old. The age difference was a concern, but it was his drinking that was more of a concern to me.
But that didn't stop you from taking money from him.
For the business, we were business partners.
I'm not talking about the business. So far, the business he got a couple $100 from, if I believe you, and he put in thousands according to these checks. And it's not made out to a business. It's made out directly to you, and you cash the checks. It's not made out to a business account. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. But I'm telling you now, don't piddle on my leg and tell me it's raining, madam. I'm too smart for you. Do you understand? Do you understand? If you took money from him because he was prepared to give it to you and you were prepared to take it, that's one thing. He's not suing you for the money. Yet. So don't give me any baloney about business. Business checks, if they're made to a business, they're put in a business name. Your business, I assume, had a name. Right? Mm-hmm. What was the name of the business?
Wilbur Banks and Associates.
So if he was lending money to the business, it would have been business checks, not payable to you.
Okay, when I came to him and discussed certain things with him, he was there to help me. He said, whatever you need, I'm here to help you. I asked him what he wanted in return. He said, just to be close to you, to be your friend. And I said that was fine. He could write me a check, and I could do whatever I wanted with it if he chose to give it to me.
Right, so you used them. Now, let's talk about the furniture.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
I want to know if the following things are in your home, madam. Butcher block.
Pardon me?
Show this to her, please. Are those things in your home?
Yes, they are.
Good. Can I have it, please? Court will draft an order that within 3 days of today, all those items will be picked up and returned to Mr. Silvas. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
All of them. And they better be in the same condition that they were when he gave them to you. Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And
Parties on Cox versus Tagliavore. Step forward, please.
20-year-old Wendy Cox is suing her uncle, 50-year-old Joseph Tagliavore. Wendy says before her grandmother died, she promised Wendy she could have her 1991 Ford Thunderbird. Joseph says the car should be sold and the money divided equally between him and his siblings.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Your Honor, this is number 178 on the calendar in the matter of Cox versus Tagliavore. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Miss Cox, this is your uncle.
Yes.
And who are you?
I'm Joe's wife.
Your grandmother, your mother, passed away.
Yes.
According to your complaint, your grandmother, with whom you enjoyed a lovely relationship, promised you
her vehicle, of whichever it may be, when she passed away, which is a 91 Thunderbird.
When did she make this promise to you?
This was, she had an 88 Thunderbird, I think it was 88 or 89, which my other aunt had received, and at the time I just turned 16, and she promised me then the white Thunderbird, which went to my aunt, who has children and needed a vehicle. So she always promised me that she would leave me her car.
You must have had a hot grandmother. She liked Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
So she passed away recently. According to your complaint, the only signed will makes no mention of that bequest.
No. It was also done in '77.
Could I bring up something, Your Honor?
You, sir, are the executor of the estate.
Yes, according to the signed will, yes.
And is there another will, sir?
Yes. This is a will that we received from a attorney that said that from the discussion I had with my sister, Deborah, which is Wendy's mother, that he had told her that...
You can't tell me all these things. This is all hearsay. You received another will.
Yes.
That is unsigned.
That's the will.
Okay, and this was executed in 1992.
Yes.
All right, so let me understand this. We have a 1977 will which makes no mention, that is signed.
Yes.
And makes no mention of this car bequest. Then you have a 1992 will, which according to the plaintiff does discuss the car.
Yes.
Let me just take a look at it. Mr. Tagliavore, were you satisfied that your mother had, in fact, in 1992, had a change of heart, despite the fact that you didn't sign this will?
Yes, I didn't know. Yes.
Could you sit down, please? Just sit down. The answer is yes. Evidently there was some dispute that your mother had with somebody else, and she, in fact, changed her will.
Yes.
But did not sign it.
As far as I know.
As far as you know, didn't sign it.
Right.
Is there anything that you know about that I haven't said yet?
Yes.
Go ahead.
In the hospital when my grandmother was dying, my husband, my mother, my uncle Bill, and her other son, and my mother, the executor on the second will, she was telling us that her phone book, bank receipts, her will, stuff for her funeral, everything was in her briefcase. We found everything except for her will, which then in her phone book in 2 different spots it is noted, Opendahl, the one that drew up the second will, is her attorney has her will. That's how they found him. This is her phone book.
It says in that, attorney has will.
Has will.
Fine.
And I also have a letter from the attorney saying that he was the one that drew it up, and no, she never signed it, that it was her right to be able to take her copy with her, and it was up to her.
Ms. Cox, so then what I'm saying is accurate. Let's put
Yes.
this in order. We have a signed 1977 will, which you acknowledge does not make any bequest of this car to you. Were you born in 1977?
I was born in 76.
Okay, so you were a year old. She wouldn't have left you a car.
No.
Later, you both agree that your mother and your grandmother had the intention of changing her will to leave you the car, but she never fully executed the will, which means she did not have it signed and witnessed. That's according to you, madam, because you just told me that in her papers, in her book, it says attorney has the will. And if this is the will that you got from the attorney, it is unsigned, correct?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
So here we have the problem.
This is a copy of the will from 1977.
I'll take a look at it. Mr. Tagliavore,
That's where
listen
I got
to me.
the address.
Listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
I think you were very honest with me a moment ago. I assume that you love your mother and you know in your heart that she may have not been good at executing this 1992 will, but that was her intention that your niece have this car.
My mother spoke to me in '96 in November.
Who are you?
I'm her daughter also. She called me in Kentucky, was calling me, and I brought up my will. She brought up her will. Nothing was ever mentioned. She said, I have 6 kids. If there should be anything left, we divide it equally. Nothing was ever mentioned once. Wendy didn't know. None of us kids knew that this other will existed. Mom never mentioned to not a one of us.
Fine, but it does exist.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I didn't care if I lost the car or not. It was
Come
a
on,
simple.
Wendy, come
you don't
on.
know. You do not know,
I know.
Joy.
You
no,
put
you
us
do not
through
know.
hell.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Wendy Cox says her grandmother promised she could have her Ford Thunderbird after she died. But Wendy's uncle, Joseph Tagliavore, claims his mother's will says all of her possessions are to be divided between him and his siblings.
How much property did your mother leave?
The automobile was it, basically.
If you went to sell, sir, a 1991 Thunderbird, how much do you think you could get for it?
5,000 maybe.
Maybe.
6, maybe. Depending on what kind of shape it was in.
Okay, well, what kind of shape is it in?
It's in very good shape.
Okay,
Low
so let's say,
mileage.
and there are 5 kids?
6.
6 kids. So let's make it easy for this old judge, because I'm not real good in math, as Byrd can tell you. So let's say you can sell the car for $6,000. So everybody gets $1,000, right?
Right.
The laws in every jurisdiction require a will to be executed in a certain fashion. So we're talking here about a situation where the law, Ms. Cox, in this and practically every jurisdiction in this country requires that a will and any subsequent change of the will be signed and witnessed. Correct? On the other hand, we're talking about whatever is morally right with regard to this car. I believe that you two people know that it was your mother's intention for her granddaughter to have this car, for whatever reasons. I'm sure she has a lot of other grandchildren, but that's what she intended, for this car to go to this grandchild.
Well,
We're not talking about a lot of money here, Mr. Tagliavore. We're talking about at most $6,000 or $1,000 per person who would tend to inherit the money. So maybe we can come up with some way of being fair to your mother's wishes and also being fair to you, consistent with this will, which is unsigned.
Your Honor, I also have a letter from that attorney.
So what? I don't need the attorney. They don't dispute that. Ms. Cox, relax.
Okay, but...
Relax. They don't dispute
No,
that this...
I was just wondering if that would be... I know it's not signed. I'm just wondering if he
No,
can't
I
be a
don't read
witness,
letters
can
from
he?
attorneys. If you want a witness here, you have to have a witness here. Okay. What I started to say to you is perhaps we can come up with something that is fair reasonably fair to each side, would it be fair for Miss Cox to have use of this car until she decides to sell it, and when she decides to sell it, the proceeds of the sale of that car distributed among the 6 of you? So that in some way, the last wishes of your mother would be honored. Would that be reasonable?
I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Well, I'm telling you, sir.
You don't understand the whole story, I don't believe.
Well, I'll listen to the whole story.
This started years ago when my mother first told me. She told me, you make sure that you take care of your brother James, which is on that will.
In 1977?
Long before then. But if anything happened to her, she said, you make sure that he gets his share of whatever is left because he will not take care of it himself. The money would mean a lot to him. It doesn't mean anything to me. My sister, nobody else in the family, you know, $1,000, like you say, is not much money.
So what's James's problem?
He's like one step from homeless, pretty much.
Is there something physically wrong with him, or does he have an alcohol or a drug problem?
No, he's partially disabled. He lives on state aid and stuff like that.
So he has money from Social Security disability.
Right. Which is not much.
I understand that.
$1,000 to him is a lot of money. And this is a promise I made to my mother. And then when this thing all started, as far as I was concerned, I thought my sister was supposed to be executor of this will, and this was all taken care of. She comes after my mother passes away. All the children come to my house. They say, we want you to take care of this. I told Mom in 1995 I wanted to be taken off as executor of the will. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. This was all news to me. So I agreed to do it. Then we started searching and finding stuff. Now this has turned into a total nightmare, and I'm the bad guy when the only thing I say there that is legally binding is that I have to do what the signed will says to do. Now this is all the argument. This is all the bull that I have got from my family.
Sure, because
for doing what I was told to do by the law and asked to do by my siblings.
Well, you're right, Mr. Tagliavore. You unfortunately are placed in that responsibility because it's not just you, but you have 5 siblings that you have to deal with too.
Right, and my sister Paula says there's another will that leaves her the car. An orthographic will that she cannot find. She cannot find witnesses to. There's wills floating all over this place. But
listen,
none of them are signed
there are a lot of
except
wills,
for
but no
one.
property.
Right.
You know, a lot of wills, but all one old
And there's
Thunderbird.
nothing but a car.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I did not want to sue him.
Sure you did, Wendy.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
You don't know me,
did.
Joy. You do not know me. This was the man I thought was my grandfather,
I've seen your
okay?
action.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Wendy Cox is suing her uncle, Joseph Tagliavore, over her grandmother's will.
So I would assume
So-
that you cannot speak for your whole family.
Oh, no, absolutely
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. What do you want to say?
It's funny that Mother never said anything to anybody, not even to Wendy or Debbie. Nothing was said till after the funeral. I mean, she didn't say anything.
No.
Wendy never said
Just a
anything.
second. Who didn't say anything?
Wendy didn't say nothing. Debbie didn't say nothing. Mom never said nothing.
Listen
that she
to
wanted
me,
Wendy to have the car.
Listen to me, madam.
And I talked to her.
Listen to me.
Okay. I guess it doesn't matter. Whatever you want.
It doesn't. Let me tell you why it doesn't matter.
It upsets me.
Let me tell you why it doesn't matter. Very often when somebody is ill, or even before they're ill, when they are distributing their property by way of a will, and they don't want to create bad feeling while they're alive. They don't want one child to be angry with them, or another child or a grandchild to be angry with them. They won't discuss what they're leaving in their will because they figure, when I'm dead, it don't make any difference. So they will not tell their children. Do you have children? Mm-hmm. You have children. Would you have felt badly when you spoke to your mother if your mother said to you, I'm leaving Wendy my only possession, my car? You would have been annoyed with your mother.
I wouldn't.
Sure you would have. And your kids and your children would have been annoyed. Why is Grandma just leaving? Is she the favorite? Why is Grandma just leaving Wendy the car and I don't get anything? Does that sound possible to you?
Well, if it's her, yes, possible, but if it was her wishes. Mom wasn't shy.
You don't, it's not a question of being shy. It's a question of not having your kids or your grandchildren annoyed with you while you're here to experience the feeling. Once you're gone, you're gone. Ms. Cox, you understand you have a problem.
Yeah.
And your problem is that even under the common law, which forms the basis of every law of every jurisdiction, a last will and testament was required to have some sort of a writing, at least signed by the, what we call them, the testator or the testatrix. That means the deceased. The only signed will that exists here that I see is one that was made in 1977. It doesn't make any mention of a car to you. Your uncle is not a bad guy. If he did anything else with this car, but do what it says to do in the original will, which is dispose of all my property equally among my children, he could be sued by the other siblings for a violation of his duties as executor of the will.
Thank you.
Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Well, that's unreasonable. That's unreasonable. I can't permit that to happen. My sense is he would like to do the right thing. But unless all of the siblings together say, you can turn the car over to Wendy because that's what Mom wanted, he can't do that. Do you understand? What I think is too bad is that if all the siblings understand that this was Mom's request, and all we're talking about really is $1,000 that you were concerned about for James, because that would mean a lot to him, well, maybe Wendy here would say, I'll give James $1,000, give me the car.
My mother, the executor on the second will, which my uncle is not even in.
There's no second will.
No, but
Wendy,
I know. Okay,
there's no second will.
All right, but my mom did agree to do that. My mom was willing to give my Uncle James $1,000 to make sure he was taken care of because she loves her brother. It has nothing to do with the Thunderbird.
This is a very good lesson to everybody.
This is ridiculous.
It's a very good lesson to everybody. None of us feel that tomorrow is our last day, so we all tend to put off taking care of business, which keeps things orderly and organized in our lives and prevents this kind of thing happening to a family. Usually when these kinds of things happen within a family, when somebody dies, you're talking about a lot of money. It's absolutely outrageous to me that this is doing this to a family when you're talking about a car, which is the only asset that your mother had. So people who don't take care of their business by keeping abreast of what property they have and how they want to dispose of it and making clear dispositions of that property before they die are not doing their families a favor.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Morally, Wendy, I believe that you are correct that your grandmother wanted you to have this car. Legally, you cannot establish that to me. Moreover, I honestly believe, after speaking to your uncle, that if he had his druthers, he would give you this car. If it was a question of, listen, either the car is mine or it's Wendy's, he would say, you can have the car. He is not in that position. He stands in what we call a fiduciary relationship to his other siblings. He represents them. Unless there is a unity of spirit in that, among those 6 siblings, unless all of them say, give Wendy the car, despite the fact that that's not what your signed will says, he can be sued by them, and it ends up costing him $5,000 or $6,000, probably more with attorney's fees, because he'd have to hire an attorney to defend himself, and you would maybe get the car. So don't blame him. It's not his fault. It's really, unfortunately, your grandmother's fault, because she did not take care of business when she could have in 1992 by signing this will and having a fully executed copy. So this lawsuit is dismissed. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please. Parties on Fitzgerald versus Les Savoy. Step forward, please.
23-year-old Scott Fitzgerald says he got his girlfriend's name tattooed on his arm when they fell in love. Now Nicole Le Savoy is Scott's ex-girlfriend, and he wants her to pay to have the tattoo removed.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is number 120 on the calendar in the matter of Fitzgerald versus Les Savoy. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
This lawsuit has a lot of parts, so I'm going to try to simplify it. You've known the defendant and dated since you were teenagers, is that right?
Yes.
Yes. How old are you now?
23.
22.
And now you're not together anymore.
No.
You claim that the defendant owes you money for several things.
Yes.
Let's take the simple ones first.
Okay.
The car.
The rental car.
Right.
Yes.
Tell me what she owes you for the rental car and how you came to lend her the money for this rental car.
Okay, she owes me a total of $2,081.72. This came from charges on my credit card. She was in an accident. Her insurance didn't cover her rent-a-car. There was a dispute between who was at fault. The last I knew, it was still disputing. This happened, I believe, the end of November. Her parents wouldn't help her out with the car. Her dad has 2 cars, wouldn't loan her one. She had to get to work, other things.
And you put it on your credit card?
I told her that I have a credit card that she can use. However, I had just bought a house and money was kind of tight, so I asked her that when the minimum payments came in, she would make those payments. She agreed, everything was fine. Went down there, left the card.
Did she ever make payments on the car?
Never.
You owe him this money?
Yes, I do.
All right, you seem to acknowledge that you owe him this money in your answer.
Yes.
And that bill is $2,081.72.
Yes.
You acknowledge that that's the amount?
Yes.
You spent a lot of his money, so that's so far we have that amount. Let's keep tabs on this. Okay. The next thing you're suing her for is for damage caused to your property.
Yes.
Tell me about this damage, when it was caused, sir.
Well, it's hard for me to think of the exact date that it started, so if I can go with this. We broke up in the beginning of March. Throughout the next about 2.5 months, we were talking, trying to work things out. There was times where she didn't want anything to do with me. There was times where I didn't want anything to do with her. We would start to argue and get upset. It always happened at my house, the conversations, and you know, when I would be done with it and I would ask her to leave, I would tell her to leave. She wouldn't leave. I would begin to get stronger with telling her to leave. There was many nights where I would lock her out of my house because I didn't want to talk to her anymore. She would kick my door in, my front door, kick the panels through. She became very insultive to my roommates. Every time she would leave, she would run through my wrought iron gate and slam it so hard that it would bend through past the stopping point. There was one night where her and I were supposed to go to the lake early in the morning. We began fighting throughout that evening. And when I say early in the morning, we were leaving at 5 to meet with a friend. At about 3 o'clock, we started arguing, fighting. I told her, look, you're not going to go with me to the lake today. I'm going. Let's cool off. She didn't like that, wouldn't let me leave. She became physically abusive, would not letting me leave. I managed to make it into my car by tricking her, going around to the passenger side, crawling over. As I'm doing this, she's standing there kicking my car door. Then I go to leave, drive about 2.5 miles to my friend's house that I was meeting at 5. She follows me the whole way, stops in the gas station behind me. More abuse, more insults. I just get in my car and take off, spilling gas all over the back of my car. I get to my friend's house. She follows me up that driveway. It's about 5:15 in the morning, might even been earlier. She's yelling, waking up his neighbors. His neighbors are reaching out their window, asking us to keep it down. I finally agree because I feel really bad that it's in my friend's house and my friend's neighbors are getting upset. I go out to the street with her. I'm talking with her. Finally, she leaves. There's been many cases. She's insulted my roommates, called...
I'm not interested in her insulting your roommates.
Okay.
I'm not even interested in her insulting
Okay,
you. You're not going to get compensated for it, sir.
Right.
And the fact is that you told me that she was invited over to your house frequently, and each time you said she came over, she slammed the wrought iron gate. Then, well, if she kept doing that, then you stop inviting her over. You didn't expect me to...
It was... I understand.
You didn't expect her to pay for that.
No, I don't.
And you
That
didn't
was
expect
my
her to pay for
foolishness.
Of course it was.
However, what I do expect her to
Then
pay...
let's cut to the chase.
Okay.
Because I have other
I
things to
understand.
do today.
The main instance that I'm concerned with was there was 2 different times where she kicked in my door because I didn't want to talk to her, and I asked her to go home, and she wouldn't. The main night was the night that it was about 3:30 in the morning. I was on the phone talking to somebody that I had met a few nights before. We were out at a club. I asked her to call me when she got home, make sure she was all right. Nikki called my house once, hung up, called again, said, I love you, hung up, called again, who are you talking to? I said, a friend. Whatever, I don't want to talk to you, I hang up on her. She drives to my house, it's like 3:34 in the morning, drives to my house, I hear her car pull up, I go outside, she appears to be calm. She starts interrogating me about this girl, and when I'm answering, she spits on the back of my head. I get up, look at her, and say, go home, I'm going inside. She goes to my front door first. I didn't know what she was doing at this time. Later, I find out that when she went to the door, she flicked a cigarette in my house. Because about 15 minutes later, when her and I both make our way into the living room talking, and she says to me, you don't care about me, well, look how much I care about you, and points to my couch, which I have pictures of. The cigarette festered the hole.
Your Honor?
When I tell her to leave, she runs to the TV that she bought for me for Christmas, slams the TV against the wall, and knocks the cable box off the wall, causing a dent in the wall, of which I also have pictures of. That's the cigarette burning the couch. That's the whole couch. When she hears me talking on the phone with the police, she lunges at me, bites me on my arm, of which I also have pictures of.
Would you like to also include that you were grabbing me and that a week before you would beat me? I have a
No,
police
Nikki,
report to report that.
Just a minute, that's not, the truth of the matter is that may be relevant in some other proceeding, but it's not relevant to this proceeding. You're not suing for that.
So, when she hears me dial the phone, she lunges at me and bites on my arm. As soon as she hears me talking with the cops, she realizes I'm telling the truth because I had threatened many times before, but to be honest with you, Your Honor, the reason why this went on for so long is because I felt like a wimp calling the cops for a girl.
Is this these pictures of your arm, sir, to show me a bite?
Yes, would you like me to point it out?
Yeah, but you're not suing for this, sir. You're not suing for
No.
assault. So, I mean, although this is terrible, I don't have to look at it.
So, as soon as she hears me talking with the police officers, she runs out of my house, knocking over a chair on my porch, running through the gate, slamming it past the breaker point. I do have a picture of that also. And the last thing that I remember her saying to me are, oh, by the way, I'm Rob, a guy that she works with.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Guess what? It took me a nice 3 days to get over you.
Cases, real people. Judge Judy. Scott Fitzgerald says when his girlfriend Nicole broke up with him, she left behind numerous unpaid bills.
Now, the last thing that you're suing her for is tattoo removal.
Yeah.
That I'm sure you want to tell me about.
Yes, I think I need to because it sounds funny.
It sure does, so let me hear.
Okay, we started dating back in 3.5 years ago. Okay, about 2 months after we began dating, she put, I love Scott, tattooed right here on her stomach. Okay. The night at the tattoo studio...
First mistake.
Actually, it wasn't 2 months.
Well, maybe it was
2 months,
3 or 4.
6 months, 20 years, it's always a mistake.
The night at the tattoo studio, she looked at me and said, okay, it's your turn. I wasn't about to do that. For the next 3 years, not that often, but every 6 months or so, every couple of months, she'd throw in a little comment about, oh, I have your name tattooed on me, go get my name tattooed on you. Constant things. Okay, back then, I loved this girl incredibly, and I honestly thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with her. So, yeah, I chose to go and get the tattoo put on me because of her, all right? Since then, with all the changes, now I would not have done that either unless she had been constantly bringing it back up. So I did it. Tattoo said, always loving my little Nikki.
Always loving my
Always loving my little Nikki. Now, since her change in attitude caused my change in feelings about wanting to spend the rest of my life with her, it might sound ludicrous, Your Honor, but I can't help feeling that because of her change in feelings, it changed my change in feelings. I can't help but feeling that she's partly responsible for having that tattoo removed.
Okay, so you told me. You
Yeah.
got it off your chest?
Yep.
Got it off your chest? Good.
Actually, off my arm.
Okay. Miss Savoy, the thing that I want you to address first is this incident where you clearly burned his sofa with your cigarette.
I did throw the cigarette on his couch.
Why? It's 3:30 in the morning. You call your old boyfriend. You find him on the phone with somebody else. You're annoyed. You get into your car 3:30 in the morning. Big mistake. First mistake was the tattoo you put on yourself. I'm sure there were others in between, but you were angry. You got into your car and you went over there. So tell me your version of what happened.
I was upset with him. About a week before I threw the cigarette on his couch, we got into a really big fight. We were supposed to go out, and he got angry about a joke I made about his car or something. So I was going to leave. He slammed the door as I was opening it and strangled me.
That's not true, Your Honor, at all.
She was very quiet when you were talking, Richard.
Because I was telling the truth,
No,
Your
no,
Honor.
just a second.
I'm
She
telling
was
the truth.
very quiet when you were talking. Go ahead.
He grabbed me in his arm right in here, and he dragged me through the hall and flipped me on his bed and got on top of me, and he started strangling me, threatening to kill me and him. And every time I would try to scream, but nobody was home, I was trying to get his neighbor's attention.
This was a week before the cigarette.
Mm-hmm. He attacked me like that, and then I threw the cigarette on his couch because I was upset.
Just a second. Did you throw this cigarette on his couch then, or
Yes.
this 3:30 in the morning incident?
3:30 in the morning.
That was a week later.
Yeah.
Just a second. Are you a smart girl?
Yes.
A guy grabs you, puts you in a chokehold, assaults you, and according to you, a week later, you went to his house at 3:30 in the morning. Does that sound stupid?
Yeah.
So you got there 3:30 in the morning, and what did you do?
Well, we were trying to work things out, and he said that he was just apologizing, and he wanted us to get back together. And then that night that he tells me he's on the phone with some girl, yeah, it really upset me. So I went over there, and I shouldn't have.
He apologized for what happened a week before, and then you found that he was on the phone with somebody else. So you damaged his sofa, right?
Yeah, but he's making a much bigger deal out of it. It's not like his friends haven't destroyed it anyway.
Well, I know
I
it's
know I made a hole in his
actually,
couch.
it doesn't look like it came from some boutique collection in the most expensive
And
sofa store.
stains can be cleaned off.
You may just have to live with this little cigarette hole in your sofa, sir, and the tattoo on your arm. Do you understand? This was a long-term relationship. It clearly has ended, I assume.
Yes.
Now, not very difficult. You have a countersuit. Your countersuit is for all your belongings that are at his house. You say he refuses to give you his belongings. Have you gotten them back?
No.
What do you have at his house?
I have all my dishes, all my furniture, like 10 boxes of personal belongings, books, clothes, a dresser,
And you
basically everything I
acknowledge that all
have.
that is in your house, sir?
Yes.
I've been living for 6 months without anything, no furniture, nothing.
All right.
I can't make a meal at home, nothing. And he says that we have an agreement, which is not even true. He did not tell me that he was going to keep my things till I paid him back. He did not ever say that. He said that when he got upset with me one day.
All right. Well, when you're in love, everything is wonderful. When you break up, nothing is wonderful.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You said you were going to give me my as soon as I had a place. You are so...
Not true.
Oh, my God. I don't even believe I went out with you. You are such...
Exes, real people. Judge Judy. Scott Fitzgerald says when his girlfriend Nicole broke up with him, she left behind numerous unpaid bills.
You clearly owed him $2,081.72, an amount that you acknowledge was put on his credit card, and it was a loan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to pay him that. As far as the damage, sir, all the damage and all the things that you told me she broke, deal with it. Deal with it. The relationship is over, and the only damage that I saw, quite frankly, is a cigarette hole to a very old, battered sofa.
Okay.
Now, you can have it mended, you can turn over the cushion, you can do a lot of things so that you don't have to look at it. I'm certainly not giving you $500 to $1,000 for a new sofa. If you want $25 to have a weaver come in to see if they can fix up the hole, I would consider that. But as far as $500 to $1,000 for a new sofa, forget about it. And as far as having your tattoo removed, that's your stupidity. Again, you deal with it. Now, let's get to her things.
One more thing on that note, Your Honor, please. The car door, have you addressed that? I have an estimate for that.
Did you bang in his car door?
She kicked it in.
Did you kick in his car door?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he was being a jerk like he always is.
Give me the estimate.
Your Honor, he's making me out to be the bad guy here, like I'm the abusive one. He's always abused me throughout the entire relationship, kicked in apartment doors, car doors, everything. Beat me a few times.
That's not true.
That is true. You are totally lying right now, and you know it.
Then, Miss La Savoy, listen to me.
Yes, you have.
Hey.
A few times? Beat you? Even once?
Then you were foolish for sticking around, and you were foolish to go over there 3:30 in the morning to try to get him back. Do you understand?
You're right, and I'm gone
Good.
now.
So, then it's a good lesson. All right, so what is this whole thing? Stall, labor, tent, glass, rear door. She did all this damage?
Well, what's listed on there is not the damage. What they have to do when they do an invoice, they have to break it down for everything they have to do in order to fix it and give an actual time quote on how long that takes. She kicked in my door, so what they have to do is they have to break down the time.
Which door? I have front door, rear door.
Passenger, which would be the right front door. So what that breaks down is removing the moldings, removing the door handle, painting
Yeah, but it says I have a
prepping it.
rear door here, rear upper window molding, rear door handle. What does that have to do
No, I
with the
think it's
front
right.
door?
I think what is
Right rear. I have right rear, right front. Looks like they fixed the whole side of a car, not just one door. Take a look.
If
what it
I
says.
can look at it, I'll tell you.
Sure.
What that is that says refinish and blend, because there's going to be new paint on that one door. It's not an old car, Your Honor. It's a 92 Ford Explorer, and I don't plan to keep it forever. When I go to sell it, they're going to see that that door's been repainted, and I'm not going to get as much money for it. Why do I have to lose that? So what they have to do is they have to blend the paint on the back door, since it's next to it, as well as the paint on the front fender.
All right, let me see it.
It says over here on the second column under labor type, it says refinish and blend.
Okay. Temper. Okay. When could she have all of her property?
As soon as I get my money.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Okay. When could she have all of her property?
As soon as I get my money.
Well, you're going to get your money. $2,573 is what you're going to get. And that gives you $25 to have somebody come in and weave out this cigarette hole. So you're going to get your money. You want to do this exchange within 3 days?
I can't do it within 3 days. I'm working.
I'd like it.
Why not?
3 days.
Because I'm working, Your Honor.
When can you do it, sir?
To be honest with you, I'm having my house is being remodeled inside right now, and everything is like torn apart.
Money's
so,
safe.
So I can get it by not this weekend coming up, but the next weekend. I'm off that Saturday and Sunday, and I can spend those whole 2 days going through my house, everything that belongs to her.
Okay. Furniture?
There's very minimal furniture. There's a table and some chairs, as well as a mirror and a nightstand. And I think that's it for furniture. The rest of it's appliances.
What kind of appliances?
There's a microwave, coffee grinder, coffee machine, a blender, a toaster oven.
Where are you living now, sir?
I live in Burbank.
Are you living in the house while it's being remodeled?
Yes. But everything that was in my living room, bedroom, and office and hallway has been pushed into my kitchen. You can't even walk through there because I had the hardwood floors refinished.
Okay. A week from Saturday, make arrangements to pick up all your things. Do you understand?
No, Your Honor, I have a restraining order out on her. She can't come to my house, but I've already said that I'm more than willing to pay for a delivery company to pick everything up from my house.
Good. A week from Saturday, deliver it.
Okay.
Okay? There. What?
I would like to go up there with a cop so I can get my things because I don't trust him to give me all my things back.
He's going to give you all your things back.
I don't believe he will.
Just a second. I can't. You have a restraining order. Is that right? He just said that there's a restraining order against you. Is that
Can
correct?
I send one of my friends over there?
No, he's going to sit. I don't want to create any more difficulty. I assume he does not either. If he's gone so far as to get a restraining order against you, Miss Savoy, I assume he doesn't want you to come again. I assume that if there's any item that is questionable,
I don't want
you'll
any.
use the smart thing, do the smart thing, pack it up and send it over. Good. Thank you very much. That's all.
Step out. Step forward, please.
38-year-old Sandra Lucio and her husband Jesse are suing Sandra's plastic surgeon, Dr. Richard Cole. The Lucios claim Dr. Cole botched Sandra's breast enlargement surgery, and now she faces another operation.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 183 on the calendar in the matter of Lucio versus Cole. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mrs. Lucio, is this your husband?
Yes.
Why don't you have a seat, sir? And you are Dr. Cole.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Lucio, you are suing Dr. Cole because you say that he performed a breast augmentation procedure for you and you were not satisfied with the result.
That's correct, Your Honor.
I gather from your complaint that this was not the first time that you had had a breast augmentation procedure.
That's correct.
When was the first time that you had the procedure done?
It was in 1992.
What happened with that procedure?
It was fine.
So why are you doing it again?
For larger breasts.
Why?
It's what I wanted.
If you had the procedure done in 1992 and you said it was fine, what changed in the last 4 or 5 years?
I just thought that I would prefer larger breasts. I had breastfed my children, and I was at a certain size, and with age, my figure had changed, and that I wanted it more in proportion.
And are you telling me that you were totally satisfied with the procedure that was done in 1992?
Yes.
Well, let me make sure. Didn't you tell me in your complaint that your breast size was different? One was heavier than the other?
That was before any surgery.
And after the 1992 surgery, both breasts were exactly the same?
Pretty much. It was from a different doctor.
I know it was from a different doctor. What do you mean pretty much?
It was to my satisfaction, yes.
Okay. And then you consulted Dr. Cole.
That's correct.
Why didn't you go back to the doctor that you consulted in 1992 and who did the surgery in 1992?
He had moved.
Okay. Moved to another city, another...
I just couldn't find him. He had moved. He had moved from an area he wasn't... I couldn't find him. I couldn't locate him.
Did you try?
I had went to him when I had a problem with some pain, and I had went back to his office, and they were doing some remodeling around that area. And also I had had a girlfriend that gave me some information on Dr. Cole, and I had seen his work on some lip surgery that he had done for her, and I just thought I'd try another doctor.
Okay. So he came well recommended to you?
He came recommended for a different type of surgery.
So why did you decide to use him for breast surgery?
I went and had a consultation with him. I listened to what he had to say, and I just thought I would use him.
How much was he going to charge you for the surgery?
He was going to charge me originally $3,600.
And ultimately?
The $75 consultation fee, and then I also paid, the total was $3,200 with the surgical center was $800, which brought a total of $4,000.
How much did you pay for the first surgery?
I don't recall. Not the total.
Do you remember?
I wasn't involved with her at the time.
Oh.
I wasn't married to her at the time, Your Honor.
When did the two of you get married?
In 95.
But you have children from a prior marriage, is that right?
Correct, yes.
You have no children together?
No.
I want to ask you a couple of questions, so stand up here. You fell in love with her the way she was, right?
Yes.
Did you encourage her to have this second surgical procedure?
No, I did not.
Did you try to discourage her?
Yes, I did.
My kind of man. You said, I love you the way you are, honey, don't do it.
Yes, I did.
Probably should have listened to him. How long do you stay in the hospital when you have this surgical procedure?
2 hours.
And how long is the discomfort period afterwards?
It's for about a week.
Or more?
Or more.
Well, in this case, Your Honor, it's for ever since it's happened. She's not able to even look at herself in the mirror. I have to deal with that.
Well, I don't quite understand because according to the complaint, your complaint against Dr. Cole is that your breasts are a different size.
Correct, they're uneven.
Uneven.
We paid the money that we paid for them to be even. They were even
I
the first
wouldn't have
time.
listened to me. At my age, I don't look so closely anymore. Even, uneven, I'm just happy that I have them, that's it.
Well, Your Honor, if I may,
yes.
The first time she had it done, they were even. They were balanced out. We informed Dr. Cole and we gave him the procedure that had been done the first time and explained to him that they were uneven and that the first doctor had compensated for the fact that they were uneven. He explained to us that he understood and that he would make the proper adjustment to make them come out even, which he did not.
Dr. Cole, I'll hear you, sir.
When the couple came to me, the chief complaint here was that they did not like the first surgeon's work at all. She complains, and I have pictures to show, that the nipples pointed towards the axilla or the armpits bilaterally.
Did you complain about that?
No, he showed that to me, but I hadn't noticed.
You hadn't noticed it?
I mean, it was the way I was.
Go ahead.
She had a large retraction pocket with a muscle pulling in on the right side particularly. The breasts weren't round or smooth. They were irregularly shaped where the type of implants that were placed were adhesed to the capsules.
I don't understand all that. Does that mean they didn't look nice?
They didn't look nice.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So if you want to come back into chambers with me and you want to show me what your breasts look like, I'm certainly prepared to do that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Plastic surgeon Dr. Richard Cole denies he did anything wrong when he performed breast enlargement surgery on Sandra Lucio. Sandra says Dr. Cole botched the procedure.
Go ahead, Dr. Cole.
The chief complaint they had at that time was the shape. They did not like the shape of the breast. They didn't think it was normal or natural, and there was a lot of discomfort, particularly on the right side. The second
Well,
thing...
you said that you had gone back to the other doctor because you'd had some discomfort.
I had pulled a muscle.
Just a second. Look at me. Did you complain that you had discomfort to Dr. Cole?
That I had... No.
Discomfort?
No, he's not the one that I went back to. I went back to the original one.
I know that. When you went to see Dr. Cole, did you tell him that you had discomfort?
I had pain.
Pain. All right. You told him that you had pain on one side of your breast?
No, I had pain from the incisions, not pain from...
What difference does it make whether it's pain from the incision from the surgery or pain from the implant? It's the same thing. You had pain in your breast, madam. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
I understand.
Go ahead, Dr. Cole.
The second thing they said was they'd like to have the breast enlarged if possible. The third thing I garnished not from them, but from the records they had given me from the first surgery, that there was some inequality between the breast sizes. The doctor had estimated that the difference between the two breasts was around 25 cc's difference, which is less than 2 tablespoons. But I said, if that's the third thing in terms of your interest, I will try to get that as close as possible. When I did the surgical procedure, I had a difficult time getting the capsules, the shape of the breasts, and I spent most of my time working on that so they'd be round and smooth, the nipples would point forward. The second amount of time I tried to do was to get the implant of largest size that I could in. And I explained this to Lucio's time and time again, that I can only get the size implant in that I could get in. I could not get more stuff in the area if it would not go. And I fill the implants till they're completely full and as much size as I do not have any prior conceived notion about implant size. They cost the same to me. There's no more problem getting them in if they're bigger. I had no axe to grind as far as I put the largest ones that would fit in her body safely and still be able to close the muscle tissue. I did that, and by the time I got the implants filled, I could not take some out of one side to make them even because it would have made one implant grossly smaller than the other. And I explained this to him, that I had done the best I could to get best shape, the most size I could out of them, and that's what my aims were. She had on one side, just for numbers, 300 cc's before I started, and I ended up with 430. That's over a third larger than what she started off with. On the other side, again, I put 430 cc's.
Do you have photographs for me?
I have preoperative photographs.
And I'd like to see the postoperative photographs.
I don't have any postop. She did not come back from the postop.
some photographs. Well, I'd like to take a look at...
Sir, stay right there.
Okay. Can I see the postoperative photographs, please?
May I say something, Your Honor?
Yes.
When we went to Dr. Cole informed us that he was able to put 400, the bag size, 400 cc's in her breasts and enlarge them to anywhere between, for one side would be 450 to 460, the other side would be 490 to almost 500. When the doctor did the surgery, the only reason we even found out that he didn't put the right size in was because we asked for a copy of his report from his secretary. His secretary gave us a copy of the report. My wife was just devastated because he had not put the size that he indicated to us. We immediately went back into his office and said, "You didn't put the right size." He said, "Well, they no longer make that size."
Mr. Lucio.
Yes.
I can't use these photographs because these photographs don't show me anything. You showed me photographs. Your wife is wearing a brassiere.
Well, she was embarrassed to show you them without, Your Honor.
Well, then, that's not proof, sir. I need proof.
That shows you that I can't wear a bra.
No, it doesn't, madam, because I can, any woman can put on a bra, and unless she puts both sides in the same way, she can manipulate one side so one side looks one way and one side looks the other way. I have one set of photographs with the way you look preoperative, and I don't have anything here. You understand that, Mr. Lucio? I mean, what I have here is something that's masked, that's covered.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Then there's something more involved here than the desire to have perfect, huge breasts.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 38-year-old Sandra Lucio and her husband Jesse are suing Sandra's plastic surgeon, Dr. Richard Cole. The Lucios claim Dr. Cole botched Sandra's breast enlargement surgery, and now she faces another operation.
I mean, what I have here is something that's masked, that's covered.
Well, we have a report, I'm sorry, from another doctor, Dr. Villicana. Wait, no, it's, if I may, just, Your Honor, it's just a...
Evaluation and the cost of what it would be to correct the surgery.
I'm not going to read a report from another doctor. If you want to show me another doctor's bill, a bill I will certainly look at, but I will not accept another doctor's statement in lieu of the doctor's testimony.
We were charged for this doctor's report so that he could also, you know, show you that there is a difference just by looking at my breast.
He says there's a difference. Madam, he says that there's a difference.
This is a drastic difference. I cannot wear a bra that's a normal size. One size fits and the other one does not. I would show you, you're a woman, you would just by looking at me. I can't wear a bathing suit. I can't wear anything that
Have you been back to
size.
Dr. Cole?
We talked to Dr. Cole. The way he told me is that every woman is basically odd-sized. You're not born even. And he said that there wasn't much difference. To me, there is a difference. Eventually, after talking to him, then he said, okay, I agree. He would go in and reopen the valve. When we spoke to the other doctor...
When he said reopen the valve, he meant reopen the valve and take some out from one side?
No, he was going to put some more in.
Madam, I don't understand you. You know, I'm looking at the procedure, the preoperative procedure, the preoperative photographs. And quite frankly, I don't understand why in the world an apparently intelligent woman would want to have her breasts enlarged any larger than these are.
You make intelligent choices. I made an intelligent choice. You may not agree, but it was my choice.
It was your choice. It was your choice, and what's going to happen is you're going to have 3 surgeries on your breast. You know, there were women out there, Miss Lucio, who would love to just have breasts that didn't give them any trouble. 2 natural, nice breasts that didn't cause them any grief. You have children, you got a nice husband who said to you, dear, I love you just the way you are. Don't do anything. You're going to have surgery now 3 times in order to...
Well, if he would have done it properly, I would have only had the 2. I would have been satisfied with what I wanted, what I asked for.
Miss Lucio, I can't tell from your photographs the extent of the difference. So if you want to come back into chambers with me and you want to show me what your breasts look like, and I am not an expert, so I'm just a lay person looking at you and seeing whether there's such an aberration, so that there is such negligence on the part of the doctor so that I should award you $5,000. I'm certainly prepared to do that. Is that what you want to do?
That's fine.
Let's go.
Step over this way, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Dr. Cole, I must tell you that when we were in the back, I had no conversation with Mrs. Lucio with regard to this case. She was very upset. She still seems to be very upset, and what I was trying to do was to calm her a little bit and to tell her that if she wasn't prepared to proceed with this matter today, I was prepared to adjourn it unless she could compose herself. But we did not discuss the case because I know you were not with me. You might have felt certain misgivings. Do you understand?
I have no misgivings, Your Honor.
Good. Miss Lucio, I want you to look at me. I'm jealous. I say that in the hope to get a smile on your face, madam. I will tell you that what I viewed back there was a hell of a lot better than the photographs, the preoperative photographs that were furnished to me by Dr. Cole. And quite frankly, Mr. Lucio, I think you are exaggerating to a tremendous extent. What you said was a vast difference in the size of your wife's breasts. I certainly did not see it. I saw a breast enlargement that clearly was larger than what she had. The shape was much better than what she had. And whatever difference in size was de minimis to my naked, untrained eye. And I tell you, Miss Lucio, right now that I believe that if you're prepared to put yourself through another surgical procedure, then there's something more involved here than the desire to have perfect, huge breasts. And that you would be very wise to address what it is that's really motivating you to do this. To cut yourself up every couple of years in the quest to have the perfect breast. You are the mother of, you told me in the back, 3 children. Right? You've got a husband who seems like a nice guy who says, I like you just the way you are. What I saw back there was, to me, it's as close to perfect as you could want. And yet you're not satisfied, so there's something else there. And I suggest that it may need a different kind of doctor to address what would motivate someone like you, who has 3 healthy kids, doesn't have breast cancer, thank God, doesn't have anything wrong with themselves, to put you through 3 surgeries because you see that one breast is slightly smaller than the other. Insane. And for you to encourage her in that regard, sir, is wrong. You know what? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I understand.
I know you understand. You seem like an intelligent man. Don't encourage her. There's something else there in your wife's head that she's unhappy with. And if this is the vehicle that she's using in order to satisfy that, it's destructive. Dr. Cole, I don't think you made any errors when you did the surgical procedure on the plaintiff. I'm dismissing her lawsuit. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And
gets underneath the ball this time. Chances look even as the chase begins. The medium pacer has been called into the attack now. That's a loose delivery from the bowler. That's a clear no ball. He's got it in hand and chucks it right back. Trying to go for the maximum. Here comes the chance for a free hit. One bounce and into the fence. Looks like he's sending a message to the bowler. First ball boundary. Technology will have to take a call on this one. Too close for human judgment. The bowler thinks he's got him, and the hot spot confirms it. That's been edged, and he's out. A lack of control from the bowling, resulting in a wide. The batsman has found the gap through the fielders in the deep square. That's a fantastic stop. Some real athletics on the field today. The batsman opting to play it safe on that one. No runs. Another no ball. Extras could prove expensive at the late. He's taken the aerial route. 6 more. It's in the air. If that finds a pair of hands, it's over. That's some fine running between the wickets. No luck once again, or no ball rather. He is on a poor spell here. He has to pick up his game from now on. Try and look for some win. They've been let down by the bowling unit. They failed to get some important wickets. An outstanding performance with the bat, and a well-deserved award